is a live presentation of CBC Sports.
Today, the gymnastics specialists enter the spotlight. Canadian Ellie Black continues to shine in Montreal. 2 more medal chances for the Halifax native on the balance beam and the floor exercise. And Black's teammate, Brooklyn Moores, is in the medal hunt as well. Her floor routine has captivated the crowds with elegance. She's looking to dazzle again today. It's the final day of competition at the 47th Artistic Gymnastics World Championships.
Road to the Olympic Games is presented by Petro-Canada.
Montreal's Olympic Stadium for 4 decades. This has been, for better, for worse, a beacon for international high-performance sport. Gymnastics has made a triumphant return to the stage for the 47th edition of the World Championships, and the Big O has been well attended and electric throughout. Hi everybody, and welcome to the World Artistic Gymnastics Championships on CBC from Montreal. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I'm Scott Russell. It's day 2 of the apparatus finals, and this is a watershed day for Canadian gymnastics. That's because 2 Canadian women are serious medal contenders, and one of them is becoming a household name in this country. That's 22-year-old Ellie Black of Halifax, Nova Scotia. She's qualified for and will compete on the balance beam in the final, as well as the floor exercise. Now, yesterday, on day number 1 of the apparatus finals, it was the men who shone. In particular, a guy named Max Whitlock of Great Britain, the Olympic champion on the pommel horse, the reigning world champion on the pommel horse. And I'll tell you what, Max rode the horse for a long, long time here in Montreal to another gold medal. And he's standing by with Perdita Felicien.
I'm with a man who makes a habit of winning gold medals. Max, I got to ask you, how is this title different than any others that you've won before?
It was a lot harder. My build-up going into this competition and major championships has been very tough. It's been quite tight with what I was doing, and I had to sort of rush some things and rush other things, and it's been quite stressful. So to come out with this title this time, after winning a title in 2015, it's even more special because, you know, I've always said, I said it before this major championships, to go and gain a title and reach the pinnacle of your career is something to be really proud of, but to go and do it again that's what I want to aspire to be like, so I can't be happier standing here today.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Perdita. Today, 4 apparatus finals for the men, the vault, and the parallel bars. For the women, the signature events, the balance beam, and the floor exercise. Here are Brenda Irving and the 2004 Olympic champion on floor exercise, Kyle Schufelt. You know what? Ellie Black has been the Commonwealth Games champion on the balance beam, Pan American Games champion on the beam. Now's her chance to become world champion.
Well, she's been to 2 beam finals at the World Championships before. She qualified 4th to this beam final. And Kyle, the reason you like her chances is because of some of the changes that she's made.
The quota points has changed for this year, and Ellie Black has taken out a skill that caused her trouble in those 2 World Championship finals appearances, and also at the Olympic Games she fell in qualification. It's the back handspring back full. It's out. Now the routine is full of really trustworthy and reliable skills. I like her chances.
Ellie is super busy because from beam she's going to move over to floor, and she's going to be joined there by a 16-year-old from Cambridge, Ontario, Brooklyn Moores, and that's where we're really looking for possibilities from a Canadian perspective.
Well, let's talk about making an impression at a World Championships. Brooklyn Moores is the talk of the town. She won the Longines Prize for Elegance. Nadia Comaneci was on the voting committee. How's that for a stamp of approval? But she's got captivating dance. She really moves you with the performance. She has big tumble big tumbling, and she's a total package. I like her chances for the podium, but if she doesn't, she has developed a reputation here, and her future is so bright.
Well, as I said at the top, it's a watershed day for Canadian women at the World Championships. In history, there have only been 2 medals for Canadian women at the World Championships. Ellie Black, silver in the all-around here. Elise Hoffner-Hibbs won a bronze medal on balance beam in 2006. We start today with the men's vault. This is a pure power event. 2 vaults for an average score. And look who's in the field. An old nemesis of Kyle's, 36-year-old Marian Dragulescu of Romania. Right now, let's get to the vault.
Well, Scott, some big news. The 2012 Olympic champion, Young Hak-seon, is out with an injury. What happened, Kyle?
Well, in the warm-up, he injured his right hamstring. He got it taped up, and he went back to try to do some warm-up vaults, and you see there an intense pain, getting some massage, but he has decided to pull out. And you know what? This opens the field. He had a big advantage. He had almost 3/10 advantage over the rest of the world after qualifications. At this point, he is the best vaulter in the world, and now he's out because of that hamstring injury.
Well, then it looks like if you look to qualification and what happened there, it looks like Kenzo Shirai, he might have a shot at this medal because his score was close to 15 points.
And another contender in this final is Marian Dragulescu, of course, an Olympic medalist on the vault. He's a 8-time world champion, 4 on that floor exercise, 4 on the vault, and this is the only event that he is competing here at the World Championships. He got a slight ankle injury at a World Cup a couple weeks ago. His ankle was quite swollen, so he's elected just to compete on vaulting here.
First competitor is Keisuke Asato of Japan. He qualified to these vault finals in 4th position. And this is really, Kyle, his first big international event.
And he's a ringer for Japan on vault. He has 2 extremely difficult vaults. He does one that is of a 6.0 difficulty value. So what that means, that's nearly the highest that you're going to see in this final. In fact, it might be the highest. He does a full twisting double back off that vaulting table. It's wild.
So each competitor gets 2 vaults, and they average the score. What kind of athlete excels at vault?
So vault is all about quick bursts of power. You're going to see the athletes in here are very, very fast, very powerful. This isn't an endurance event. This is all about power. Deep breath, and he's off. Whoa, there we go. Very low on the landing. It squeaks it around. About 8 years ago, Ri Si-guang, the Olympic champion on vault, debuted this. And the entire world thought, no one else is ever going to be able to do it. Well, now there's a handful of men. He gets a nice block off the table, but doesn't get in as tight of a tuck position there. You see his body is slightly open, just pulling with all his might. And I assure you, landing like that does not feel good. Walking on the way back, he's going to have some sting in those ankles. It's so complex. There's so much that happens in such a short period of time. Pushes off, does that full twisting double back. You need big air time and a nice, tight rotational position.
Score 14.766. A slight deduction.
You want to watch the landing. They want to keep it nice and straight alignment. If they do step into the red zone, that's where that deduction comes in. see he sets his arms up there. He's pretending and practicing the block. Vault is all about adrenaline. Things happen fast. You have to be technically ready.
Another deep low landing.
The athletes train these vaults, they learn them into the foam pit, and then they put a mat into the foam pit, and at the big competitions, they have to land. This landing mat is quite hard. He does a front handspring with a 2.5 twist. His hands do go down on the mat. That is considered a very major mistake. Hips pike down, and he's just too low. The ankles can't take too many landings like that on this harder landing surface. He just didn't get enough rotation right off the table in order to land with his body standing upright.
So those deductions on the landing, does that prevent him from being in any sort of medal position?
Yes, yes they do. The best vaulters today are going to be landing 2 vaults solidly on their feet, and they're going to be landing them standing more upright. Those low landings are very harshly punished from the judges.
Well, he qualified 4th to the final. His average score was 14.716.
Keep in mind his maximum score that he can get on this vault is a 15.6. That difficulty is added to the execution, and that's how they come up with the final score. And their average, 14.349.
That's about 0.3 of a point lower than what he had in qualification. Well, here is Kenzo Shirai, the new bronze medalist in the men's all-around competition. Also won men's floor exercise yesterday with a spectacular performance. That's his 3rd world title on that apparatus, and he qualified to this final in 2nd place.
And he is a twister.
They call him the Twist Prince. Easy to see why.
He's so well known around the world of gymnastics for his twisting ability. Watch his arms go back. He hits that table and cranks in 3 twists. He gets a great block. And this is why his twisting is so good. You see how close his arms are to his chest. He makes his body as small as possible in that twisting position. It allows him to cut through the aerodynamics. He really slices through the air on these twists. His legs are slightly crossed, and there will be a deduction for that.
He was one of only 2 men to have a vault which scored above 15 points in qualification.
He has great execution. He's much improved. And it takes time. He debuted, look at that, 9.6.
Right, and 15.2 the combined score. So our first score over 15 points. Really a good score, a decent score would be in the high 14s, but 15.2 spectacular.
Goes with a slightly easier vault. We heard rumors that he might try that one with an extra half twist, but today he's playing it safe. He wants to come home with a bag full of medals.
What role do you think the withdrawal of the 2012 Olympic champion had in his decision to go with an easier vault?
Well, whenever you see the top contender go down, you have to readjust your strategies. If he wanted to beat him, he needed to go for that triple full. But now he sees that door is open, so going clean. Gymnastics is about difficulty combined with the execution. A fall is 1.0 off, and he hasn't competed that triple twisting vault often. So tried and true is the name of the game for him here today. The maximum value on that vault is a 5.2 difficulty. So 15.2 is his maximum score.
14.9, the average, a little lower than in qualification, but not by much. Now, Marian Dragulescu qualified to the vault final in 3rd place. He is the only Romanian gymnast, male or female, competing in an apparatus final here in Montreal.
And this first vault that he's going to perform, he is the one who created it. He's the originator. He did it in the late 1990s, nearly 20 years ago. Oh, too much power. That vault is called the Dragulescu.
Well, he's a 4-time world champion. I know you and him have a lot of history together.
We were rivals, friends, competitors. He pushed me to be my best. But he is so naturally gifted. He's so powerful. Look at how straight his arms are when he does hit that vaulting table. Cranks around 2 flips and then the half twist at the end. When he debuted this vault nearly 20 years ago, the world, they were in awe. Everyone's eyebrows raised. And now it's become the standard for men's vaulting. You can see he has too much power today. Takes that large step and slide back.
I know you're still in touch with him. Why at 36 is he still competing?
He loves gymnastics. He loves performing. He loves competing. And this is a great way for him to make a living. He's created a very strong legacy in the sport.
So 14.7.
At the European, or at a World Cup just recently in Paris on the vault, he was in the final, and on this second vault, he landed awkwardly and did hurt his ankle. It affected his ability to perform on the floor exercise here. Didn't do that in the qualification. So he's put all of his marbles into this vaulting final. Well done. It's another Romanian Olympian, Ion Suciu. Coaches the Romanian team now.
There's our leader, Kenzo Shirai. It's going to be pretty tough for Marian to catch up to him.
He is a thing of legend, and the power that he naturally has, he's got a very special gift. That vault is a half turn on with a double twist. Get a nice look here. He'll do a half turn. Watch how nice and straight his arms are when he hits off the table. He has performed this with a 2.5 twist in the past. That ankle injury, he decided to just do the double full. It's a bit easier on the ankles on the landing, not as much pounding and pressure. He's got such quick twitch. The world admires him for his ability to translate that power from the springboard onto the vaulting table.
At the Tokyo Olympics, he would be 39 years old. Is that the plan from your conversations with him?
He wants to continue doing gymnastics as long as his body can hold up. He enjoys the sport, he enjoys the friendships, he enjoys traveling the world and competing. And if you're still winning, well, hey, that's a bonus.
The one thing he doesn't have is Olympic gold, though. He will move into 2nd place. We will return to Montreal in a moment. There is the leader, Kenzo Shirai, a big score, 14.9. He's going to be hard to catch. This is Igor Radivilov of Ukraine, Olympic bronze medalist in 2012 on vault.
Ho ho! That is awesome! That's the way that vault is supposed to be performed. He's putting honey and some sticky substances on the vaulting table. He's gonna chalk it up because when he's running down, it's full speed, full power, and he wants to make sure that he has some friction and traction when he hits onto that vault. Watch this. Watch the kick out. One flip, two flip, kick out, and he totally nails it. There are some form deductions that the judges will take into account. Those legs are wide on the entry, the big double front with a big wide cowboy leg. Those knees together is what those judges are looking for, but this landing, you can't deny that that was stuck.
Well, he didn't blow the competition away in qualification for sure. He finished 6th, average score about 14.7. Oh, another score over 15, 15.033. Kenzo Shirai better watch out. Vault 2 now.
And it's a big one. That Sukahara style vault, the double pike. He had some room to play. His vault starts out of a 5.6 difficulty, so 15.6 is maximum score, whereas Kenzo Shirai's second vault was only a 5.2. 15.2 was his max score. This guy is a tank. Pulls around those 2 flips in the pike position. He is so strong and powerful, great on the rings, great on the vault. Just explodes. Pulls around those 2 pike flips and a large step backwards, but he has some room for error in terms of that start value.
Let's see if it's enough wiggle room. The Rio Olympics, he performed one of the most difficult vaults in the world and got it named after him, but it was so dangerous that the Federation banned it.
He did the handspring triple front. So you saw on his first vault, there was a double front with a half twist. Well, imagine he took out that half twist, but did another flip. It was scary. I'm happy that it's been banned. Only he could perform it successfully.
He's trying to beat his score, a combined score, an average score of 14.9. That's Kenzo Shirai's score. I think he thinks he's got it. Oh my, look at that. 14.899.
So close.
And Kenzo Shirai breathing a sigh of relief. Incredible.
That is so close. Wow.
Well, if those scores hold, you got to give them both the gold, don't you? Well, here is Artur Dalaloyan of Russia. The 21-year-old was a last-minute replacement for the 2012 Olympic vault champion who hurt himself during warm-up.
Does that Yurchenko triple twist, the same vault we saw from Kenzo Shirai.
What are some of the challenges of being a last-minute replacement?
He did the warm-up, but last night when he went to bed, he didn't imagine that he would be competing here. When you're the reserve, oftentimes you never make it in to the final. So he didn't have that mental time to prepare. He does have some directional issues, and it happens right from when he hits this vaulting table. He initiates that twist slightly early. And as he twists, he starts to move over to the right-hand side. You have to get into that twist early to perform all three of these twists. There's such a small amount of air to get it in.
Archer is a really good all-arounder. He was second at this year's European Championships behind Oleg Vernayev, but only competed vault and floor here in Montreal during the preliminaries.
This Russian men's team and the women's team as well is going to be a force to be reckoned with as we move forward towards those Tokyo 2020 games. There's lots of young athletes like this young man, and as they gain experience, they're going to be an incredible force.
He's one of the few athletes that actually checks his social media, he says, during competitions, looking for inspiration. So I'm sure he got some inspiration after he found out that he was going to be in this vault final.
Goes for the big Dragulescu.
Always an element of danger.
Gymnastics is an incredibly dangerous sport, and watching a vault like this, where he does those two flips, initiates the twist slightly early, and when you see that landing, it does remind you that yes, the gymnasts make it look effortless. They make it look easy, but it is incredibly hard. He's got an interesting technique. He's grabbing behind his legs on that double front flip. That's not the best way to initiate rotation. Grabbing the front of your knees allows you to contract your core so that you can really go in and flip. But his technique is interesting. I've never seen anybody else do that double front half out with their hands behind the legs.
So Archer will not be a factor today. Just one vaulter left to come after Archer, and here he is, Kim Han-sol of Korea. And he qualified to 2 finals here in Montreal. He finished 8th on floor.
Maybe feeling extra incentive after his countrymate had to pull out at the last minute. He's very good on the leg events, on the power events. Well, that was very nice.
We don't get a chance to see the South Korean gymnasts very often.
They train often in obscurity. They're training very hard, but they aren't traveling to many of the World Cups. Usually they show up at World Championships or Olympic Games, but they always are in the hunt for medals when it is on vault. And I would say this is one of the nicest vaults we've seen today. He's got great leg form, and that landing position, how high his chest is. He gets great contact with the table, initiates that rotation and the twist very quickly. His countrymate, who was the Olympic champion in 2012, debuted a vault like that, but with an extra half twist, and I'm sure he's working on that at home.
His average score during the preliminaries, 14.649. That would not be enough right now to move him onto the podium.
Well, his first vault was very clean. And he did score higher on that vault than he did in qualification. This one has a maximum value of a 15.2, so he is going to need to be perfect.
Oh. Marian Dragulescu sits in third place. Igor Radivilov in second, and as I say, Kenzo Shirai is the leader.
So this vault is called a Kazamatsu with a 1.5 twist. There's actually 2.5 twists off of that table. Let's look at his form. Toes are pointed, legs are glued together. There's not much to deduct in the air. On the landing, he is quite low in the landing position, slightly skewed. It's gonna come down to the littlest of details here today. Remember, the maximum score on this vault is a 15.2. I feel like based on the judging we've seen today, there's gonna be about 6/10 of deductions. It's gonna be close.
Final score coming in just a moment. There it is, 14.766. So that moves him ahead of Marian Dragulescu of Romania and into the bronze medal position. But the winner, while the star of these Montreal World Championships, Kenzo Shirai, Japan wins its first gold on vault since the 1978 World Championships.
Final standings in the men's vault. It could not be closer. Kenzo Shirai of Japan, second gold medal. Third medal of these championships. Igor Radivilov, 1/100th back for Ukraine. And bronze to Kim Han-sol of South Korea, just ahead of Dragulescu. Next, it's all about walking the fine line, the balance beam. 4 inches separate the athletes from an ocean of trouble. And for Ellie Black, this is the best road to gold. We'll continue from Montreal in a moment. Get on the fast track to winter sports excitement on Road to the Olympic Games with CBC Sports. Figure skating raises the curtain on a new season with the first Grand Prix competition, the Cup of Russia. 2 Grand Slam of curling events sharpen contenders' skills, hoping to earn their way to Pyeongchang and the 2018 Winter Olympics. In November, World Cup bobsleigh and skeleton events thunder into the picture with North American stops, while the Alpine campaign gets rolling with back-to-back speed event weekends in Lake Louise. Experience a cavalcade of Olympic sports Saturdays and Sundays on Road to the Olympic Games. It begins Saturday, October 21st. Welcome back. Road to the Olympic Games on CBC, brought to you by Petro-Canada, the World Artistic Gymnastics Championships. Young Canadian women warming to the sport outside the Big O, and why not? They have a superb role model. She is the face of Canadian gymnastics, 22-year-old Ellie Black of Halifax, Nova Scotia. She's been a Commonwealth Games champion, a Pan American Games champion, and now a world all-around medalist. But as Brenda Irving explains, Ellie Black's search for the perfect balance has not yet run its course.
Ellie Black appears effortless as she glides across this 4-inch wide balance beam. It's as instinctual for her as walking. Gymnastics has been her life for the better part of 22 years.
It's just amazing what you can accomplish if you set your mind to it, and what the human body is capable of.
At 22, Ellie has shown the human body is capable of a lot. In a sport dominated by teenagers, she's been one of the few who've managed to beat the clock. The Halifax native was 5th in the all-around competition in Rio. That's a best ever finish by a Canadian.
Canada, cheer loud. Ellie Black is a star.
So I remember looking up at the scoreboard, and there was one point where my name was in first, and that was pretty cool. I think I took a picture of that. Yeah, to be top 6 in the world has always been kind of a dream for any Canadian gymnast, so that feeling I still can't get over. I still don't really believe it.
But being at the top of your game when the calendar says you shouldn't be takes work. Wisely managing her maturing body is a huge reason Ellie is still a force.
As you get older, you have to be a little bit smarter with your training and your recovery. You have to be strong, you have to have experience and have time to build those harder skills. Those skills just don't come overnight.
Ellie will be 25 by the time the next Olympics roll around. She says there's every reason to believe her best is yet to come.
I still do gymnastics because I love it. I can't picture myself not competing. I'd love to stick with it as long as possible. I'm not ready to be done yet.
There's a look at Ellie Beam in the warm-up a couple of hours before the competition. The balance beam, she's the Commonwealth Games champion, won that in Glasgow, Scotland. She won the Pan American Games championship in Toronto in 2015. All right, here's the start list for the balance beam. Ellie Black of Canada, 3rd up. Individual all-around champion Morgan Hurd of the United States is in the field. German Paulina Schaefer led the qualifying. Let's get to the beam. Here are Brenda and Kyle.
Paulina Schaefer won't surprise anyone this year, Kyle, if she wins the medal, because heading into the 2015 Worlds, the German gymnast was seen really as a bit of a long shot for a medal, but she finished in 3rd place.
She has a lot of precision in all of her elements. Very solid on that leap. Oh, she looks on today. Big skill coming up. That is her original skill. Nice connection on all of those skills. She has beautiful lines. And in the qualification, she was the only athlete to score over an 8.0 in the execution department.
Wow. Well, you can see why she qualified to this beam final in first place.
It's always tough being the first one to go up in finals. You don't know where you're at. You're setting the standard for the rest of the competition. And she certainly set that bar very high here today. She's got beautiful work, really nice dance elements. She was very sharp in all of her landings. Moves the arms slightly, but dances through it. Watch the way she finishes this double turn. There's no deduction there. Total precision. This element right here is her original skill. It's an Arabian with an extra half turn. It defies physics. And the dismount, nice open hips. A relatively simple dismount. In today's world of gymnastics, some of the women are doing that with a full twist. But she gets the job done and does it well.
I'm curious to see if the judges are as stingy during the finals they were during qualification with the scores. They were really low.
There was one score over an 8.0 in execution, and even Ellie Black hit her balance beam routine with a couple small minor wobbles, but they hammered her and gave her a 7.6. I think there's a new panel in every competition. So in qualification, it was a panel of judges, and they do have conversations after and talk about where they took the deductions. I think in today's final, this is the cream of the crop. Coaches are just as invested as the athletes. They spend as many hours in the gym. And you know what? I was talking to Kim Zemeskel earlier in the week, who coaches Reagan Smith, and she told me, the hard part is I have no control.
13.533, the exact score that she had in qualification.
She did have a higher level of difficulty. But that execution score, 8.0, it's very good.
Elena Aramina is a first-year senior. She won the bronze medal in the women's all-around competition here in Montreal on Friday, and then took silver in yesterday's bar final. She qualified to this beam final in 6th place.
Beautiful back handspring to 2 layouts. She's handling the pressure like a veteran. Small balance check. She has beautiful flexibility, really nice balletic posture, and that's why she has become a fan favorite here. Triple full dismount, slightly off to the right side.
She looked confident, though, when she was on the beam. Maybe doesn't hurt when you get a couple of medals already earlier in the competition.
This is her very first World Championships, and to be in this beam final, You're under the spotlight. Every eye, every camera is on you. There's 10,000 people here in the audience. Talk about being under the microscope. She had a couple slight adjustments, but the beauty in her routines is the flexibility, it's her posture and her presence. I like how she works up on her toes. On balance beam, it's all about the connections. It's about doing the difficult elements combined with each other with no pauses in between. And this was her most difficult skill in the routine. Her dismount, the triple twist, very hard to punch off that balance beam and get enough height. It's not as bouncy as the floor exercise. It's a harder surface.
And there is Canada's Ellie Black, her and her coach, David Kikuchi, getting ready because she will be next up on beam.
And this is their routine. This is their pattern. We've seen it all week here in Montreal. Dave talks to Ellie. He talks her through the routine. She listens. It's how they get focused. It's very difficult to stand there on your own and to wait. Dave's an Olympian himself, 2004, 2008. He brings a wealth of experience.
So Paulina Schaefer has set the standard here with a score of 13.533. You see Elena Aramina's score. Right now she'll sit in second place.
Nice, gets that combination today. Missed that in the all-around finals.
Black, the reigning women's all-around silver medalist.
She's going to be disappointed with that. She knew this was the place where she could become the world champion. She has all the ingredients. Great combinations like this double turn through to the full turn. I like her style. It's so aggressive. She attacks it. She's been in this situation before. This is not unfamiliar territory. Look at how she lands this element, really pulls it into the center. But this is where things went wrong. Does that front tuck, foot slightly slides off, leans forward. This caused her trouble in that all-around final as well. But this is Ellie Black's third appearance at the World Championships beam final.
She's not done yet. She still has floor coming up, but you're right. This was her chance to make her mark, win that gold medal. We know she'll be kicking herself.
This is a new dismount for her this season. It's the double pike. It's so clean. We're really excited for her and her opportunity because all the skills in her routine she can do quite easily. So that front tuck here at these World Championships has been giving her some trouble.
It's probably the most difficult of all apparatus, though, to be on when there's 10,000 people and all their attention squarely focused on you and you alone. I can't imagine.
You could hear the simultaneous heartbeat of everybody in this audience as she was performing.
Her score in qualification, 13.433. Tough to imagine that she would score that high.
Brenda, she has floor exercise left, so she is going to need to let that go, and Ellie Black is such a champion. She will be able to do that.
And that score, well, that cost her the fall. 12.4. Mai Murakami finished 4th in the women's all-around competition. A bit of a disappointment for her after qualifying in 1st place. Now, she qualified to both finals today, beam and to floor. Floor is more of a strength for her.
We'll talk about rocking qualification. She looked so good there. But in the all-around competition, she struggled on the balance beam and did have a fall. Slight bobble out of that double turn. She's becoming a mature and experienced competitor. And at this World Championships, she has established herself as one of the favorites as we move towards Tokyo.
That's right. So 3 years away, as she was a contender for that Olympic team in 2012, but ultimately was left off the list, and that was a shock to many fans.
She's an ultra talent. When she was a youngster, there's videos going viral online about her. On the balance beam, she was doing a quadruple turn. She's very powerful, and I've seen her grow and mature over the past few years. She doesn't panic. When something goes wrong, she just settles back in and gets refocused. Her routine is very soft. It's very gentle. It's not that aggressive style. Those toes have spent years gripping onto balance beams.
Well, she's always had kind of the big skills, but what kept her off that Olympic team was the lack of consistency. And now that we've seen her in that all-around final, finishing in 4th place, she's certainly got that. And like you said, she's maturing, and can imagine what's possible for her in the lead up to the Tokyo Games. 13.066, so that will move her into 2nd place here in this women's vault, or rather beam final. So Paulina Schaefer with the lead here, a pretty hefty one over the rest of the field, about a half point ahead of Mai Murakami. Ellie Black struggled in her routine and sits in 4th place. Now this is Asuko Teramoto, the reigning Japanese balance beam champion.
Oh, big mistake off the top on that double turn. This angle gives you a great impression of how narrow that balance beam really is. There's a small bobble, but does do a quick recovery. You hear that bell? She has 10 seconds to dismount the beam.
Asuka Teramoto, she qualified 5th to this beam final. The standard really has been set early on by Paulina Schaefer.
I'm excited about the Japanese team as we progress towards those Tokyo Games. They have a lot of strong veterans. That is where she had an issue today on that double turn. The back foot stepped down, and well, as you can see here, that balance beam is very narrow, and if your shoulders are leaning anywhere over to the side, it's very difficult to recover. She has nice leaps. Judges are looking for those split leaps to be at least 180 degrees. She's got a nice lightness to her work, seems very confident on her feet.
And she's also a terrific all-arounder. Finished 8th in Rio.
She's very good across the board, and that is a triple twist dismount. We saw Elena Eremina from Russia perform that as well.
Her score in qualification 13.333, and there is Paulina Schaefer, the 19-year-old from Germany. Just came out, and she was the class of the field,
Tell
at
you
least
what,
so far.
she's a happy young lady at this moment. Just sitting back and
Yeah.
watching everyone else make mistakes. But that's the name of the game. There's 8 people who have made this final. There was nearly 200 competitors in the women's field in qualification. So this is the cream of the crop, the best of the best. And when you set that standard at the beginning and let everyone chase you, it's nerve-wracking while you're watching other people compete, but it's also confidence building as the day goes on. A lot of these gymnasts talk about how they're not competing against each other, but they're competing against themselves. I would say balance beam is the event where that is really true. You can't control the other people. All you can control is your performance.
Balance beam that judging, getting the scores in, seems to take just a little bit longer than some of the other apparatus.
I would say much like men's pommel horse balance beam is the most difficult event to judge. There's just so much content, and it's about connections. So there's difficulty judges who are evaluating the connections. Did they perform the skills quick enough together, linking them quick enough together so that you get credit, extra points for doing them together? They're also, I think at this point, questioning whether or not to give her credit for that double turn.
So that will move her ahead of Ellie Black and into 4th place, but no one so far going to touch Paulina Schaefer. American Morgan Hurd is the new women's all-around champion. She just edged out Canada's Ellie Black. on Thursday, winning by 1/10 of a point.
And since winning that world championship, she's had a pretty cool experience. Big Harry Potter fan. And she got a tweet from J.K. Rowling. There we go, settled back in. The more experience she gains, the more she's gonna learn how to make those small mistakes and correct them. She's already grown so much, Brenda, over the past few months. 6th place at the U.S. National Championships and world champion here. That bell rings. She has a very difficult dismount. It's the full twisting double back. She needs not to rush. Safety is most important.
Gets it done. What did J.K. Rowling have to say on Twitter? You never told me.
Well, she called her another hero with glasses.
Yes, she is one of the few, the only international gymnast that we know of anyway, that wears glasses in competition. But how would you characterize that beam routine by her?
It was a good routine. She started things off with a slight wobble on one of her skills. But what I love about this athlete is her variety. She has great flexibility. Big tricks like this back full. That was awesome. She did have some slight struggles throughout the routine, and I do think she went overtime. The gymnasts have 1 minute and 30 seconds. There's one of those struggles. But she pushes back into the beam, gets her mind refocused. Judges are looking for those quick connections. This is in slow motion, of course, but if you snap your fingers, if you were to snap them very quickly, that's what the judges want to see. This was the highlight of her routine, including that full twisting double backflip. The only one in this competition who will be performing that here today.
This must be a very surreal experience and feeling for her at these World Championships, because she was injured in the summer, really just scraped onto the team following an injury and withdrawal of Riley McCusker. And then to come here, have Regan Smith, who was the favorite to win the women's all-around title, have an injury, not be able to compete, and then her to be able to step up and win that world title.
Well, she certainly played the cards she was dealt.
Played them well.
Played them very well. And I think bigger things are to come from her. She is working on more difficulty back home in the gym. She keeps getting more and more refined. You see that penalty, negative 0.1, that's for going overtime.
But enough, 13.4, to move her into second place, but not able to touch Paulina Schaefer. This is Liu Tingting. Now, she had planned on competing in several events in Montreal, but an injury left her unable to compete on all of them. So this is the only apparatus.
And she's beautiful. She has some really unique acro combinations, like this front handspring to front tuck. So difficult, the blind landings. She's a beautiful gymnast to watch. So many picture-worthy moments in her routine. Looking solid and sharp here. Going through her choreography, she needs to dismount that beam. Now she's over time.
Well, the Asian Championship gold medalist, Liu Tingting. Trouble with the bell today, keeping to time.
Well, what happens sometimes in the finals is, as an athlete, you're trying to be calm, you're trying to go through your routine, and when the pressure's on, your time, place, continuum starts to speed up. So you're really going slow, taking your time on all of the elements. And these gymnasts do perform many routines in training with their coach having a timer. This was one of her unique combinations. I just love that. The front handspring, front tuck, it's difficult because she can't see the beam until she lands and has to directly combine those skills. She has beautiful flexibility. And a relatively simple dismount for her. She does have that injury. We've seen her perform the triple twist before. Her ankle has really been bothering her here. She is China's best all-arounder when she is healthy, but that unfortunate timing of the ankle injury prevented her from competing in the all-around here. Look at that toe point and the extension in the legs. That's exactly what the judges are looking for.
Well, she wanted to go to the Olympics in Rio last summer, and she was on the team, but she was forced out because of an injury. So hoping to stick around long enough to make that 2020 team. The score to beat, 13.533. Just two more scores to come in. That's what Paulina Schaefer's thinking about, concentrating on now. 12.766. That will put her in fourth place. Now, Tabea Alt is the only gymnast who could knock Paulina Schaefer out of that gold medal position, and both women are from Germany.
Nice combination, the aerial to the back layout. It can be very difficult going up last. Watch the competition unfold, you know what you need to do. Nice combination there. Very quick connection.
Final competitor in this women's beam competition, Tabea Alt. The Germans have it going on today. nicely bookended, this competition, by both Tabea and by Paulina.
And I think we'll see them both on that podium here today. She starts things off with a very difficult mount. This builds up huge difficulty points for her. That's a round off to a back layout. It's also very risky. We've seen many athletes at this competition fall on that, not her. This is a nice combination. The aerial cartwheel through to the back layout. Look at her arms and the polish that she has. Slight mistake there. She pulls everything up through the center of her body, gets nice and aligned. Those eyes are glued on the very end of that balance beam. That helps her stay stable. Double tuck for the dismount, the smallest of slides back. In the qualification, she had the biggest level of difficulty, 5.9. If they credit her with everything here today, she'll have the same.
Well, if she got the same score as in qualification, she'd be in a tie with Paulina Schaefer. Standing side by side, and Tabea Alt will not be able to catch her teammate. So Paulina Schaefer wins the gold medal here, the first gold medal for Germany, medal of any kind for the country here in Montreal. So she's back on the podium, last time with bronze, this time with the gold medal. Scott?
The final standings for balance beam: Paulina Schaefer, world bronze medalist in 2015, gold this time, 13.533. Silver to Morgan Hurd, the world all-around champion, and bronze to Tabea Alt, also of Germany, 8th for Canada's Ellie Black after the fall on balance beam. Road to the Olympic Games on CBC, presented by Petro-Canada, will continue. Ellie Black still has floor exercise to come from Montreal. Welcome back to Montreal. Road to the Olympic Games on CBC, presented by Petro-Canada. The marquee event coming up at the World Artistic Gymnastics Championships, the women's floor exercise. The start list loaded with talent. Brooklyn Moores and Ellie Black of Canada. Claudia Fragapane of Great Britain, very exciting. 4 gold medals at the 2014 Commonwealth Games. 2006 World All-Around Champion Vanessa Ferrari of Italy. To center stage now with Kyle and Brenda.
Scott, I'd love to know what it's like to be in Brooklyn Moore's shoes right now. 16 years old and in her very first apparatus final here at a World Championships, her first World Championships.
Brenda, she seems pretty unaffected by the big lights. In fact, she's a performer and she seems to be rising to this occasion. She has a lot of people talking about her at this Worlds, let me tell you that.
Well, one has to wonder if Mai Murakami is feeling a little cursed. She was 4th here in the women's all-around, 4th in beam, and she finished 4th at the 2013 Worlds on floor. So can she win a medal? Her last chance now. Just love that smile after that one tumbling pass. She's determined not to leave here without a medal.
She knew she had it. After each of those tumbling passes, the smile was getting bigger.
There's Ellie Black giving her a big hug.
She's one of my favorite gymnasts to watch in this entire competition. She's got such a great combination of personality and big tumbling, double twisting, double back. She was fighting for all of the landings. I like how she lingers in the choreography with her eyes. Double layout, perfect body position. This was her 3rd tumbling pass. Oh, her final tumbling pass, rather. The double pike. This one's a walk in the park for her. She knew she had it. That routine had a great combination of the dance and the tumbling. She had a very complicated quadruple turn in the beginning of the routine, which caused her some issues in the all-around competition. No problem here today.
Well, the top score on floor in qualification was 14.5 points. That was by Reagan Smith, who is injured and wasn't able to compete. That allowed Ellie Black to be able to make it through to this floor final. And there's the Canadian from Cambridge, Ontario, Brooklyn Moores, getting ready to go. And there we see Mai Murakami score about 14.233, a very good score. Big moment now for Canada's Brooklyn Moore. The first-year senior is competing in her first apparatus final. Just fabulous, Kyle, on this apparatus.
Before the competition, she told me that as she steps onto the floor, she tries to be very sharp in her opening pose. She transforms her mind into one of a performer. She's very expressive, actually moves the audience with her dance. It's so gentle and expressive. And she has beautiful big tumbling as well.
Brooklyn Moores dips her toes into big-time World Championship waters. Kyle, what a lovely debut on the biggest of stages.
That routine had everything. The beautiful choreography, the expressive dance. She just draws you in. And she also had spectacular tumbling. This pass was her final one, the 2.5 to front tuck. Her opening tumbling pass was the front handspring to double front half out. This one is her second pass, the double twist through to the front full. She is the total package. Won the prize for elegance here at the World Championships. A very prestigious award. Look at her fingers and how beautiful she is in all the expression, the way her head goes back. She really is a difference maker in this sport, showing what artistry in artistic gymnastics really looks like.
What does it tell you about her as a competitor that she was able to come out here today and have a performance like that?
The future is incredibly bright for this young woman. She is on the fast track to stardom in the world of gymnastics.
13.650. The difficulty score, 5.2. This is Laura Morey, who finished 12th in Friday's women's all-around competition. She qualified to today's final in 8th position. Laura Mori.
That was a nice routine from her. It didn't have the same quality in the dance that we saw from Brooklyn Moores, and it didn't have the same level of difficulty that we saw from Mai Murakami. That double layout body position is slightly piked. You want to see the hips nice and open. The Italian women's team has always been in the mix. We're going to see her teammate, Vanessa Ferrari, later in the finals. But those judges, they're looking at the little things like those crossed legs and the twist. Coach is happy. It was a very good routine, not the top standard that we're going to have here today. And you know, this floor exercise final is going to come down to that difficulty score. Brooklyn Moores right now is at a 13.65, but her difficulty was lower. She doesn't have the big tumbling yet. She doesn't have the double layouts. She has the one really big tumbling pass, that double front with a half out, and that's why her score was a bit lower.
But she will continue to build the difficulty as the years go on. She is just 16. Jade Carey is the reigning U.S. national champion on vault and took silver in yesterday's competition. Today she competes on floor, qualified very high in 3rd place.
And she is a tumbler. Watch these 2 opening passes.
Jade Carey of the U.S., a much different, more comfortable Jade Carey than we saw the other day in vault when she did look a little bit nervous.
She's a powerhouse. She's a tumbler. She's a vaulter. And the highlight of this routine is the tumbling elements. If there's one area I feel she could improve, it is in the dance. It's a little bit stiff and robotic, but the tumbling is where she builds up that big difficulty value. Look at how quickly she runs. That double twisting double back, kicks it out. She could do a triple twisting double back like Kenzo Shirai. Now this second tumbling pass, the full twisting double layout, this is the way it's meant to be done. She opens up and floats down to earth. The athletes are required to do a front tumbling skill. She chooses to do the double full, does the leap out. In order to cover up that landing, you're allowed to do that on one of your tumbling passes. And this big final tumble, many women open with that. She finishes her routine with the full twisting double back.
Well, she says, I like to flip, fly, and twist in the air.
Simone Biles is the best tumbler in the world, and Jade Carey can challenge her in that tumbling department.
So Mai Murakami, still the leader here, a score of 14.2 is her score. Can Jade carry?
Jade
One
builds.
upper?
Sorry, Brenda. Jade builds up a big difficulty score, 5.7.
So almost enough right there. When Road to the Olympic Games, presented by Petro-Canada, continues, we'll have more from the floor. Well, there's Mai Murakami with the lead here, fractions of a point ahead of Jade Carey. Now here's Claudia Fragapane. She's certainly a contender in this floor final.
Oh, big stumble out of that opening tumbling pass. really learned to perform. Was on Strictly Come Dancing in Britain, which is the equivalent to Dancing with the Stars. Well, after that mistake on the opening pass, she fought for every single tenth of a point.
Her nickname is the Pocket Rocket, just 4'6" tall.
She's tiny in stature, but powerful.
We just got a glimpse of Ellie Black, who is next out on floor.
This was her opening tumbling pass, the full twisting double layout. We saw Jade Carey do it as well. Slides back, but what a veteran. Keeps it in bounds. But from that point forward, her routine was spot on. She was really aggressive on all of the landings. This is the double layout. Does do the leap out of it. She used to actually do that tumbling pass in her last tumbling pass and has switched around the construction of her routine to make it a little cleaner. Watch this landing. So aggressive. Her leaps were beautiful. Floor exercise isn't just about these big tumbling skills. It's about the dance elements, the turns and the leaps. And if she could erase that mistake on the first tumbling pass, this would be a stellar routine.
So she has the high degree of difficulty to challenge Mai Murakami, but execution-wise,
and it is a joyful performance for gymnast and coach.
It's always so rewarding as a coach to see your athlete make a small mistake at the beginning, but fight through. It's not over till it's over.
just below 14 points.
And that will knock Brooklyn Moores off the podium. That difficulty score of 5.6, that allowed her to have the advantage. Brooklyn's was just a 5.2.
Mai Murakami just waits. She was first up in this women's floor final. Ellie Black is back. This is her fourth big event final in 3 days. Well, the fans showing their appreciation for what has been an incredible week for this woman and for Canadian gymnastics. Ellie Black, the reigning world all-around silver medalist.
This opening pass has a lot of gymnastics that she has to fit into that diagonal. 2.5 twists through to the double back, just lands out of bounds. That step out will be a 10th off of her score. She's the only one in the world at the moment who is performing this element. There's so much that happens, and she just ran out of room. But she fought through the routine. This is a veteran right here. That double full. Watch the landing on this front tuck, very close to the edge, but she settles in her heels. And this was what was most impressive to me. The front full through to the double pike for the dismount. In the all-around competition, she played it safe and did the double twist. Today, she went for broke, did the big difficulty.
She is a joy to watch. She is all about attitude, and we love her performances.
This new routine for Ellie suits her so well. It's so dynamic and powerful, really shows off her confidence.
One of Ellie's favorite sayings is dream big and don't let anyone set your limits.
She set a new standard here for Canadian gymnastics.
See the deductions there, and the score just under 13 points, and now maybe she can relax and enjoy what happened to her on Friday night.
If I know Ellie, she's going to be motivated by this experience.
Here is Thais Santos from Brazil, the 16-year-old first-year senior who struggled on bars and beam in the women's all-around competition, finishing 24th. She's the only Brazilian woman competing here in Montreal. Brazil's national all-around champion.
Teammate Rebecca Andrade, who was supposed to challenge in the all-around and for medals on multiple events here, injured her ACL in the warm-up for the qualification. So Thais is the only Brazilian woman here. This opening pass, she does the 1.5 twist, whereas Ellie Black does the 2.5 twist there, but she does it through to an Arabian double front, taking off backwards, turning into a double front flip. Whip through to that triple twist. She's got a nice level of difficulty in the tumbling.
Actually see the floor depress as the gymnasts take off and land, and they got to manage that movement of the floor and absorb every landing.
It was a nice routine. It did leave me wanting more. The choreography just didn't seem to have that same style and pizzazz that we saw from someone like Mai Murakami, or the beauty that we saw from Brooklyn Moores. That's why I love these finals, because you get to directly compare the athletes. But her tumbling was a very good stock.
Well, she'll need a higher score than she had in qualification if she wants to step up onto the podium. Right now, Fragapane holds down that number 3 spot, but Thais Santos moves up into 4th position, so that moves Canadian Brooklyn Moores down into 5th, with one competitor left to come here. Our final competitor, Vanessa Ferrari of Italy, the 26-year-old who was the 2006 World All-Around Champion.
Ouch. Oh. An injury.
What happened there, Kyle?
Brenda, she went for a more difficult tumbling pass than she did in the qualification. She did something called a whip back, which is a back handspring without hands. She did perform it at some of the Italian competitions earlier this year. She was trying to up that level of difficulty, really going for the podium.
Well,
There has been a lot of lower extremity injuries here, a lot of ankle injuries. We saw Kohei Uchimura. We saw Regan Smith hurt her ankle. We have some, like Rebecca Andrade, hurt her knee.
Well, Vanessa trying to best her silver medal on the floor at the 2013 Worlds. So she will retire, and we do know that it will be Mai Murakami winning the gold medal here on floor. We told you earlier about all the disappointment that she has had. 4th in the women's all-around here in Montreal, then 4th on beam, 4th at the 2016 Rio Olympics, and then she finished 4th a few years ago at Worlds on floors, but this time a gold medal for the Japanese gymnast. And for Brooklyn Moores, a 5th place finish on floor, the best ever for a Canadian female gymnast at the World Championships.
Well, the Canadians were amazing here at the World Championships, and I think they've set a new standard. They are chasing podium performances. Back to you, Scott.
Well, drama in the floor exercise, but here are the final standings. Gold to Mai Murakami of Japan. She wins it with a spotless exercise. Silver to young Jade Carey of the United States. And bronze goes to the Commonwealth Games champion, Claudia Fragapane of Great Britain. Brooklyn Moores of Canada with another landmark result. That's the highest a Canadian woman has ever finished in floor exercise. She was 5th. Ellie Black winds up 7th in this competition. We're back next Saturday with our final show from Montreal. The men are on the still rings, the parallel bars, and the high bar. Plus, the best of a landmark championships for Canada were on the air at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, an interesting competition here in the floor exercise at the Olympic Stadium. There had been high hopes for Brooklyn Moores of Canada, the young 16-year-old from Cambridge, Ontario. You know, she won the Elegance Award as given out by the great Nadia Comaneci, and she had a wonderful floor exercise, but just came up short, finishing in 5th position. As for Ellie Black, what a championship she's had, silver in the all-around. She was 4th in the vault final. She also qualified for the beam and the floor exercise final, but in the end, it was a little bit too much, a lot of work for Ellie Black. Still a landmark result with that silver medal in the all-around. Great World Championships here in Montreal at the Olympic Stadium, and of course, we're back again next Saturday with the best of the championships. This is an Olympic city, and they love gymnastics in Montreal. See you next time.